Good afternoon, everybody. Thanks for joining me from wherever in the world you are. If you would like to say hi from wherever you may be, please pop it in the comments section below. Give us a wave, and hey, if you speak a different language, maybe give it to us in your language. Anyway, if you're here for the first time, I'm Rolene Marks. This is the Israel Brief, where we bring you those top stories making headlines in Israel. We do it every Monday to Thursday, and we do it in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land. So some housekeeping to start. You might hear a little bit of noise in the background. A neighbor of mine is doing whatever a neighbor of mine does to make some noise, so you might hear a little bit of noise. Anywho, let's get into those top stories. We are on day 396. I can't believe that we are just 4 days before 400 days of war with Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Of course, Israel has been fighting on multiple fronts, including the north with Hezbollah, who started firing rockets on the 8th of October last year. We have been dealing with attacks from Iraq as recent as this morning, when they fired a drone that set off alarms across Matzada and the Dead Sea. We have had attacks from Syria, terror attacks emanating from Judea and Samaria, which some of you might call the West Bank, and attacks coming from the Houthis in the very, very south on the Arab Peninsula, and all sponsored by Big Daddy Iran, who is the biggest sponsor of state terror. So Israel fighting a war on multiple fronts, and many of us consider that anti-Semitism, which is rampant around the world, is another front that we are fighting our war on. So it has been 396 days, and a reminder that 101 hostages remain captive in the Gaza Strip. So let's take a look at those headlines, and we begin with Iran. Iran's foreign minister said today that any response to Israel's strike that was carried out last week will be measured. Now, if you recall, Iran attacked Israel on the 1st of October, firing about 200 ballistic missiles into Israeli territory from Iranian sovereign territory. Israel responded with that. We don't have exact details about which targets were struck, and what is interesting is that the Ayatollah tried to downplay it, saying no damage was done, no damage was done. Well, if no damage was done, why are you seeking to attack Israel yet again? And many in Israel are wondering if this would be an attack from Iranian sovereign soil, or would we see Iran engaging their proxies in a coordinated attempt? Well, Israel is on high alert. Now, the comments from the foreign minister follow comments that we heard yesterday from Iranian officials who said that they would use weapons previously unused that carry bigger warheads. And just a reminder that Iran has been fighting us through their proxies. So this is definitely an escalation, despite the foreign minister saying that they don't seek an escalation. And an American official on CNN said that if Iran attacks Israel, and countries have cautioned Iran not to attack Israel, that they won't be able to restrain an Israeli reprisal attack. Meanwhile, last week, Israel's IDF Chief of Staff, Herzi Halevi, said that don't attack Israel because we will then strike the places that we didn't strike before. So a definite war of words between the two countries. As today is election day in the United States, we'll see if any results from there affect any possibility of an Iranian attack. But as I said just moments ago, Israel remains at high alert. Now let's talk about hostage negotiations. And last week I brought you the story that the Egyptians had put a mini proposal on the table where they advocated for a 2-day ceasefire, which would see the release of about 4 hostages. Well, according to the US State Department, Hamas has refused this proposal. This follows the proposal put forward by the Mossad chief, who was part of the negotiating team, who put forward the proposal of a 28 to 30-day ceasefire in exchange for about 11 to 14 hostages. Now, diplomats involved in negotiations have said that negotiations are still ongoing and that all options are on the table, and Israeli negotiators have cautioned Prime Minister Netanyahu to perhaps be more flexible. What is interesting, which was reported on Israel's Channel 12 last night, is an Israeli official who confirmed it today, said that the Prime Minister has reportedly offered captors $1 million and safe passage out of Gaza if they hand over hostages. Like the offer made by Daniel Birnbaum, let's see if anybody takes us up on the offer. But one thing is for sure, 396 days in intolerable situations, in horrific conditions. We want our 101 hostages back now. A law authorizing the Education Ministry to dismiss teachers who support terror or acts of terror has passed its third reading in the Knesset. Now, the bill will enable the Education Ministry to fire teachers who are guilty of supporting terrorist acts or supporting terrorists, and withhold funding from schools that also support terrorism in any way. Now, it is believed that this legislation is largely aimed at certain Arab schools in East Jerusalem, where incitement against Jews is routine. So this is a very different approach that has been taken towards curbing incitement, and let's see how this pans out. And our final story, much like yesterday, we go back to the Gaza Strip for more of a humanitarian effort. And it was reported today that the IDF, in cooperation with the World Health Organization, will see more than 100 patients, some of them children who have suffered trauma and also who are enduring serious life-threatening illnesses, will be moved from the Gaza Strip through the Kerem Shalom crossing into Israel, where they will then be transported to the United Arab Emirates, and then some of them onto Romania for treatment. There are about 12,000 civilians who are awaiting transfer, and I want to reiterate to everyone that Israel is proud of the fact that we can facilitate as much humanitarian aid and assistance as possible while we are fighting Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Our war is not with the civilian population. Our war is with Hamas, and we want to see an end to the suffering of the civilians in Gaza. So if we can in any way help, that is part of our morals and our ethics to do so. So now on to the audience question of today, and it is a doozy. It comes from Cyril Levine in London, who says, Israel is fighting a war on multiple fronts, so why doesn't the international community realize that? That is such an important statement, Cyril. As I mentioned in the beginning of this broadcast, we're fighting on these multiple fronts. And one would think that the international community, many countries who have experienced terror attacks on their own soil, would be empathetic. And while we do hear the standard, Israel has a right to exist and a right to defend herself, but, it's always the but. I don't think any country has faced a situation that tiny Israel is facing at the moment. Certainly not a terror attack in its depravity that was carried out on the 7th of October, followed by the type of warfare that we are fighting in Gaza, where it's urban warfare in very, very densely populated areas on a battlefield well prepared for 16 years, both above ground and subterranean. I think that many people miss the fact that the reason that there is so much destruction above ground is because of what exists underground. And I really urge people to read the writings of experts like Major John Spencer, Major Andrew Fox, and others, Colonel Richard Kemp, who have been on the ground in Gaza and can explain the difficult scenarios that we're fighting in. Coupled with this, the ongoing rockets and missiles that are coming from the north, Hezbollah continuing to fire into northern Israel and coming from other areas as well. And of course, the existential threats posed by Iran and their proxies as well. So it's a type of warfare I don't think any other country has encountered. And one would think that if they don't understand it, they could at least empathize more with it. And what I do find, Cyril, between you and me and all the rest of our community, is the international community has a lot to say, but they don't offer any other solutions, do they? I guess, unfortunately, many of them will only learn if this kind of warfare affects their own country. So those are top stories for today, guys. Don't forget to put your thinking caps on for Mensch and Moron of the Week. You can send them to me via our website or in the comment section below, or even if you want to send us a message via our Facebook page, that is also absolutely perfect. And a reminder to check out our website at www.layoftheland.online, our YouTube channel right here at the Israel Brief. We are on Facebook at Lottel Site. What am I missing? On X at Lay of the Land 5. On Instagram, on my page at Rolene_Marks. On LinkedIn at Rolene Marks. And I think that's pretty much covered it, guys. Anyway, take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. God bless you all. And I will see you again tomorrow. Bye for now.